Okay guys, coming up next, since we're in the middle of spring break here in Miami and South Florida, I'm gonna do my 3 favorite spring fragrances. There's gonna be a theme here among these, but I think most of you guys will really dig these fragrances. So find out what they are coming up next. Welcome back everybody to JoelTheNose, and today, maybe you can see the shirt I'm wearing. This is very Miami. For those of you from Miami, you'll recognize this. For those of you maybe not, this is Marine Stadium, an iconic stadium that's actually out on the water. So the stadium goes out over the water and the bands actually perform. Anyways, it's historic, unique, one of a kind, and this is from my friend Abel, who has Instagram Miami Stadium, which is like he produces these really cool iconic shirts. So I'm just rocking this today. All right, let's get right into this. My top 3 favorite spring fragrances, and I gotta say these are all 3 new from what I've done before, and that's what I love about perfumes and this whole genre, this whole passion we have, is that your nose, your taste, everything kind of changes over time. You know, I've said this before, mine changes from month to month, depending on what I'm smelling, what I'm liking, maybe trends that are out there, what maybe companies are kind of pushing, or, you know, it's really interesting, but I think that's a good thing. I think it's like how your taste in music hopefully should evolve, and food, and you just don't eat the same thing over and over again. So here we go. Let's get right into this. I'm gonna start out with number 3. And this is really an old school, when I say old school, for the niche perfume world it is. Classic. I think a lot of people love it. Some people maybe kind of bash it, but it is really, really good this time of year. And that is Cedrat Boise from Mancera. Cedrat Boise. Look, you know, I don't have to really talk about it. For those of you who are in the fragrance world, you know this is sometimes a polarizing fragrance, but you know, look, clearly it's in that same vein as Creed's Aventus. It's got that kind of biting pineapple, fresh, tart, energetic, just well-rounded, beautiful fragrance that really has stood the test of time. It's not one I wear all the time because I'll be honest with you, here in Miami, a lot of people wear a lot of the same fragrances in something that Creed Aventus range, and you can get kind of, I don't know, you can kind of smell like everybody else. But this is a fragrance that I do recommend that everybody should have in their collection, much cheaper than Creed Aventus. And Mancera, I think, is a very quality house. They produce a lot of stuff, you know, kind of a sister brand to Montal, if you like Montal. And it just, look, it performs well, it gets good compliments. This is, again, very versatile. You can kind of wear it all day, all night. But it just has that, again, that kind of that greenish vibe, and that's the trend you're gonna see of all the fragrances I picked here, that greenish vibe that evokes springtime. Again, right now we're here in the middle of spring break. You have a lot of college students here in Miami and Fort Lauderdale especially, because Miami Beach tried to kind of shut down spring break this year because of some like crazy stuff that was happening over the last few years. So now it's like shifted to Fort Lauderdale. It's interesting for those of you who've been around, it's come full circle. Spring break was the original, Fort Lauderdale was the original spring break capital of the world, like going back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, and up to the 80s, and even into the 90s, and then Fort Lauderdale shut it down. And then it moved to Daytona, and then on to Panama City, and then all other places. But now it's funny, they're inviting them back again. So it's just, you know, if you're around long enough, you'll see things come around. It's the same with fragrances, and that's the point I'm bringing out today, why I think this one is still good. And it even has come back around in my personal taste because I hadn't worn it in a while. I'm starting to wear it again. All right, let's go to number 2. And that is Aeria from Ormonde Jayne. Yeah, another classic green fragrance, one of my favorite green fragrances. And, you know, just right up that kind of Figuier, oak moss, green, sexy, perfectly, I think, unisex, good for men and women. And it's just, you know, it's unique. This is not, again, this is very niche. To me, Ormonde Jayne is such a great niche British house. They combined that that element of classic, kind of what you would picture as British, a little bit almost inside certain boxes. And I wouldn't call them like outland, like, you know, like for example, I wouldn't call them as experimental, maybe sometimes as homage or some of the other houses out there. But what they do within that box and in that framework of that classic British gentleman, gentlewoman fragrance is just phenomenal. And Avernia to me is one of those great fragrances by them. I could have gone with Zizan. I talked about that so many times, was originally my signature scent. But unfortunately, Zizan has been discontinued here in the US. So, you know, I want to talk about something that people can get more readily. And Avernia, again, just a wonderful green springtime fragrance. And last, but certainly not least, my number one springtime fragrance is Figuier Noir. Figuier Noir. Take a look at that from Houbigant, Paris. Houbigant, who created the original Figuier Royal back in the 1800s, okay? Legendary French perfume house that has just been around forever and still doing it well, still kicking ass, still making great fragrances. I've smelled some more over the last couple of months, some newer ones that I'll probably be talking about soon are amazing. But Figuier Noir, I love Fig, okay? Fig to me is one of those great notes and perfume, I guess, bases that doesn't get enough, I think, hype. It's really kind of an under the radar note and smell, but it's fresh, it's clean, it's green, totally evokes springtime. This evokes springtime of plants growing and sprouting and flowers coming out of the ground. Plumeria trees here in Miami are dropping now. They're starting to sprout and you can pick the fresh plumeria. All that's happening, life, right? You're coming out of the cold winter. Here in Miami we're not, but most people are coming out of cold, snow, fresh. You're getting this like life-giving force, and this is a fragrance that just evokes all those kind of memories for me and all those connections. It's green, it's sweet, it's got like a candied element, it's dark, it's just masterful. One of my favorite fragrances by far that's come out in the last 2 or 3 years. I wear it so much. The bottles are beautiful. I love the lattice work on the bottle. And what can I say? Houbigant Paris, again, one of the original, the original Figuier, and they just continue to do it right and do it well. And if you have not smelled this, you absolutely have to try it. I cannot recommend it enough. Of the three, by far, this is the one I would recommend the most to get your nose on if you haven't tried. I'm sure most of you have tried, you know, Cedrat Boise. So there it is, my favorite 3 spring fragrances that I recommend this time of year. Hope you guys are having a great spring, although I guess we're not officially in it yet, but we are here in Miami because it's spring break. I don't know, maybe we are. Did spring start? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know if it officially started or not, but it doesn't really matter. All right, I'll be back soon with another video, guys. Thank you as always for watching. Peace, love, and perfume.